Well, hi guys, it's that time. It's our Tuesday testimony. I want to go back to yesterday and pick up on talking about how awesome my week was last week. I came into Memphis 2 different days, and I talked to you a little bit about that. And the highlight of my day, that particular day, was when the big lady picked me up and hugged me. She picked me up like I was this pencil and wrapped me up and hugged me, and I love that. But today, what I want to do is just give you some more about, and I've got a long list of wonderful stories that I could tell you, because I always go about predetermined. I determine every morning when I get out of bed that I'm going to have a good day, and my life is going to rub off on everybody that's around me, okay? I'm a game changer. I influence people into the light. I talked about us being the light of the world. I influence people as I go about, and I do it intentionally. I think a lot of times what happens is we don't live with intentionality, and I get out of bed knowing that I am going to influence people by living and in the kingdom and being the light of the world. Let me read this to you. Yesterday I mentioned it. This is Matthew chapter 5, verse 14 through 16. I'm going to read it in the Passion Translation. I like the Passion. Now, I read about 150 different Bibles, okay? But the Passion, two reasons I like it. It takes into account the Greek manuscripts as well as the Aramaic manuscripts, and it mines out deeper meanings that sometimes we might not understand through reading only the Greek. The second thing I like about the Passion Translation, guys, is their footnotes. They gathered the footnotes are from all over. It's not one person making footnotes. It's just a collection of footnotes, and I always go and verify them. But what I have found is many of the studies that I've done over the last 14 years, their footnotes verify a lot of the things that I have come to know. Now, I don't always agree with some of their footnotes, by the way, but that's pretty much par for the course. Let me read this to you. Here we go. Your lives light up the world. Let others see your light from a distance. For how can you hide a city that stands on a hill? And who would light a lamp and then hide it in an obscure place? Instead, it's placed where everyone in the house can benefit from its light. So don't hide your light. Let it shine brightly before others, so that the commendable things you do will shine as light upon them. And then they will give the praise to your Father in heaven. Did you know when you go about representing the kingdom of God and representing Jesus, it brings glory to our Father, and people realize it. They see that light in us, and they know that it's the kingdom of God standing in front of them. I want to read you a couple of the footnotes down here too. The Aramaic word for light, nutra, N-O-O-H-R-A, nutra, is often used as a metaphor for teaching that brings enlightenment and revelation into the hearts of men. Light can also represent the presence of God, the light of His countenance, and Jesus is the light of God within us. Okay, I love that footnote. Jesus is the light of God within us. So let me get started telling you some more about me being the light as I went about the last 2 days in public last week, okay? One thing I wanted to tell you about is when I was coming home from one of my trips that I was out, because each day I was out from like 9 in the morning until late in the afternoon, and one night I didn't get home till 9 o'clock. But this particular day I got home before dark, and as I'm headed out on this road off the main highway, and I think the speed limit is about 40 miles an hour, I come around a bend and up a little hilltop kind of a bend, but then it straightens out. Well, as I'm going down the road, I noticed right there on the right in the path of my passenger tire, was something laying in the road. And it wasn't real big, maybe a medium-sized leaf, maybe about this big around, okay? Not very big. Maybe the size of a baseball, okay? And I thought, something hit me that I needed to go around that. And I did. I kind of swerved over where I'd be more on the edge of the road and sure enough, I looked back in my rearview mirror, and it did not move like a leaf blowing. So I kind of watched a little bit as I passed it, and it was a little baby turtle. I mean, a little baby turtle, too. And it was so beautiful. I put my brakes on, of course, and I backed up probably 30 yards or so to get back to where it was, crossing the road. And I got out of my car, right? And I get out, and I am actually going to pick the little baby turtle up and carry it across the road. On the other side in a field, there's a pond, and I know he was probably headed over to it. But when I got up even with him, guys, this little turtle starts trucking it. I mean, if a turtle can run, he started running. And it was because he was scared of me. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to let him make his own way across, and I'm going to watch him. Well, sure enough, about the time that I'm going to bend down to pick him up, I hear a vehicle coming, and it's coming pretty fast. And I'm standing there in the road, and the guy comes around the curve, and he sees me. And did you know that if I had not been standing there, and it forced the man to get over in the left-hand lane, the oncoming lane, he would have killed the baby turtle. Well, sure enough, another 2 cars or so come up from that direction. And then, as the turtle and I are finally across the road, here comes another vehicle coming head on. But I'm telling you, that car that was coming would have ran over him, or one of the 3, or me. This little turtle had 5 near-death opportunities that he probably didn't realize the danger in. But I got that beautiful little turtle. He was black and brown, and he had real bright little marks on his shell. But anyway, I made sure that he was like 2 or 3 feet off the road, because I love every living being, every part of my Father's creation. And the more that I live, and the more that I walk in the Spirit, and I know my Father, I appreciate His beautiful creation even more. So let me tell you about the day that I was out, and I went, and I had this t-shirt on. I wore this t-shirt on purpose because while I was out that day, and this is the particular day that the girl gave me those real pretty lavender petunias. I talked to her for 15 minutes or so, and then I left and went to Sam's Club to get me a banana to eat. I was so hungry, and I was headed to my appointment for a body massage, okay? And it was a 2-hour massage, by the way. And I had to have something to eat. Well, the girl that works at Sam's, I asked her, I said, do you guys have any organic bananas? And she says, no, I think these are the only bananas I have ever seen out on the floor. But do you mind, can you tell me why you're wanting an organic banana? And I explained it to her that bananas are sprayed very heavily with pesticides, and because of the banana peel being so soft, it absorbs all of those chemicals into the banana itself. And I said, look, it ain't going to hurt me to eat a regular banana every once in a while, but if it's possible, any fruit or vegetable that I buy, bananas is at the top of the list to get organic because of the way it absorbs all these pesticides. So anyway, she said, well, thank you. You know, the reason I ask is I study a lot, and I like to know the answers to things. And watch this, guys. She says, and did you know that God never intended us to ever eat animals? Guys, Bible teacher. My husband calls me the vegan Bible teacher now. And because I talk about us walking in health when we will go back to Genesis 1:29 and eat according to what God Himself made our bodies to function off of, right? But this girl, now this is the t-shirt I had on. So there's nothing on me that says anything about eating plants, not animals. Nothing gave that away. She knew I was a Christian because this is always believe something wonderful is about to happen. And that is actually Philippians 4:19. This is the t-shirt I had on. So anyway, she starts preaching all that. Guys, she's preaching to me. I mean, I'm not saying anything. She's just telling me what Genesis says and that God never wanted us to eat animals and da-da-da-da-da. And so, and I let her go. I like to be preached at sometimes. And finally I looked at her and I said, well, you're just preaching to the choir, sister, because I'm a vegan. I'm a plant-based eater too. She went, oh, you're kidding me. You know this? And I said, yes, I do know this. So I left there and I went on to my appointment, right? And when I get to the Massage Envy, I haven't been there in 6 months or so. So the little girl at the front desk comes and she hands me a little mini iPad and she wants me to update my medical history and if I have any health issues and all of that. And as I'm updating, everything, marking no to a bunch of different questions, she said, she's standing there and she's like, so you don't have any health issues? I said, oh no, baby, I'm 58 years old and I have 0 health issues. And she said, I need to talk to you because, I ain't but 34 years old and I got 4 or 5 things wrong with me. And I've been researching that. I've been studying about what I can do for my health. And I think that what I need to do is go vegan and quit eating animals and those milk and cheese and all that stuff too. And guys, here I am. I am standing there in awe because you see this t-shirt says nothing about plant-based. I had said nothing to this girl about me being plant-based. But when she brought it up, I said, well, baby, that's one reason this 58-year-old ain't got no health issues and ain't going to have any health issues. And there needs to be a way where I can just hit one button that says no to all of this. And laughed about that. And she said, well, so you're a plant-based, you're a vegan. And I said, yes, I am. She said, I really have. I studied that yesterday and today both, this morning before I came to work. And I said, well, let me write you down the name of 3 documentaries that you can watch to get more information on. So I took a piece of paper and I wrote What the Health, Forks Over Knives, and Game Changers. And then I put my name and number down. I told her that she could call me, friend me on Facebook or whatever. I'd help her any way I could. And I said, now look, if you got a boyfriend or a husband, I don't see a ring, but if you have, you should talk to him about watching Game Changers with you because that really speaks to men and they get more out of that particular one than the others. So I leave her, right? I go into the room where my masseuse is. His name was Corey, by the way. And he sees my t-shirt and he says, well, I see you're a Christian. That's so good. I'm a Christian too. I said, oh no, it's much worse than that, something to that degree. I just made a joke and said it was worse than that. And I told this young man that I was a Bible teacher, and that's all it took. Game on. He looked at me, he said, oh, I want to be a Bible teacher or a pastor or a preacher. I know the Lord wants me to start preaching and teaching people. And so now I'm laying down on his table, right? And so we're just talking, chit-chatting, small talk pretty much. He said, well, you said you were a Bible teacher. Would you mind if I ask you some questions about some things that I've always been curious about? And I said, I would love it. I love to teach. So you just ask me anything you want. The very first thing he's asked me is, well, what do you believe about God creating animals? I don't believe that he ever meant for us to eat them. Why would a loving God create an animal that can feel emotions and pain and then tell us to hurt them to use them for food? Guys, if I hadn't been laying down on his table, I probably would have fell over backwards. This is the 3rd person in less than an hour that has approached me about going to a plant-based lifestyle or being vegan or talking about how God never intended us to eat the animals. Well, I told my masseuse, I said, well, you know what? You're in good company today because I am a vegan and I don't eat animals because God did not create the animals for us to eat them. He told us 4 times in Genesis chapter 1, chapter 2, 2 times in chapter 3, 4 times to eat the plants, to eat from the dirt. And that's why everybody's so sick and got all these diseases. Well, he told me that he actually had been a vegan for about 7 years, and that he made friends with some guys the last 3 months and had sort of kind of started eating animal products again. He said, but I know this is a meeting right here. This is all God, and he's letting me know that I need to go back to what I believed before and stop eating his animals. And I said, well, I would agree. It'll be better for them and for you. But now, look, I don't want you to think that I was with Corey for 3 hours, 2 hours during the massage and an hour after that. This young man was so hungry to talk about the Bible, I spent that time with him. But did you know, now he didn't talk to me about just eating plants. He asked me about marriage, divorce, he told me he did not believe in the doctrine of hell, so we talked about that for a while. He even had concerns about the book of Job, and I talked to him about that. But this man was such a wonderful, wonderful, hungry, wanting to know truth. And so anyway, that's my story of another unique part of my trip out to town. I'm going to sign off here, and I will see you here tomorrow, okay? I love you. Bye-bye.